Hello and welcome to Exploring Bridgerton. Today we are listening to how the series sounds once it knows itself. Let's explore the music of Bridgerton Season 3.
It is a pleasure to be back in the town with you. And, I think that introduction really hits on something vital, this idea of a series knowing itself.
Right.
When we look at Season 3, and especially through the lens of its soundscape, we aren't just hearing a playlist. We're really hearing the maturation of a whole genre, in a way.
Yeah.
We are witnessing a show that has, I think, moved past the gimmick phase and settled into a very confident, very intentional rhythm.
Confident is a good word for it. It
Yeah.
really is. But let's be real for a second. It's also a bit louder, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
We've moved way past the, wait, is that Ariana Grande on a harp phase? Which, don't get me wrong, was delightful. It was half the fun of Season 1.
It was the fun, yeah.
But now we're into something that feels, I don't know, heavier. Or maybe just more ubiquitous. And we have a mountain of sources today, from interviews with composer Chris Bowers and music supervisor Justin Camps to some very spirited Reddit threads analyzing every single chord change.
We have a lot to get through because you're right, the musical strategy has shifted in a pretty fundamental way. I think to understand Season 3, we really have to look at where we started.
Okay, so let's go back.
In Season 1, under the showrunner Chris Van Dusen, the music was what we might call a surrealist experiment.
Right, it was about bridging the gap. I remember reading that the initial goal was basically to make Regency emotions feel relevant to a modern audience. You hear "thank you next" and you immediately get the vibe of the ball without needing a history lesson.
Exactly. It was a translation tool,
Yeah.
a functional novelty. It served as a layer of translation for us, the audience. But Season 3, under the new showrunner Jess Brownell, has evolved. The sources describe this season as showier, more vibrant, and it has a much more modernized aesthetic.
Oh, you can see that everywhere. It's not just the music.
No, not at all. You see it in the bolder makeup, the more extravagant wardrobes with all the extra tulle and sparkle, and you absolutely hear it in the music. But here is the key difference.
Okay.
The music is no longer just for us, the audience. It feels like it's increasingly for the characters.
That's a really interesting distinction. So you're saying in Season 1, the music was like, hey, audience, this is a party.
Yes.
And in Season 3, the music is saying, this is exactly what is happening inside Penelope Featherington's head right now.
Yes, it's it, precisely. And the music supervision team, specifically Justin Camps, he noted a strategic shift to support that. In the earlier seasons, the big pop covers were almost exclusively reserved for the grand ball sequences.
Right. They were the big set pieces.
They were the tentpole moments. In Season 3, Camps mentioned finding, and I'm quoting here, cute places to insert covers that weren't attached to dance sequences at all.
Oh, absolutely. I noticed that immediately. We hear them in montages. We hear them during the tutoring sessions. It's significantly more pervasive.
It is.
It feels less like a period drama that happens to have pop songs and more like a modern rom-com that just happens to be wearing corsets.
That's a great way to put it. And that ubiquity, it forces a change in how we perceive the narrative.
Yeah.
Because we've lost the surprise factor. I mean, we now expect the pop covers, right?
We're waiting for them. We're trying to guess what they'll be.
Exactly. So the show has to be more intentional. It's no longer about, look, it's Ariana Grande on a harp. But how does this specific song advance the psychological state of this character in this moment?
So the novelty's gone, so the utility has to increase.
The utility must increase. It has to do more work.
Okay, so if we are talking about utility and psychological states, let's unpack the biggest story of the season, Poland, Colin and Penelope. We know that Chris Bowers, the composer, wrote a very specific theme for them. And honestly, looking at the notes on this, it's fascinating how technical it gets.
It is deeply technical, and it's also deeply emotional. Bowers described the actual melodic shape of the Poland theme as evoking the feeling of stepping forward and leaning back.
Which is, I mean, that's literally their entire relationship for 2.5 seasons.
It's the whole dance.
But describe that to me musically, like what does stepping forward and leaning back actually sound like?
Okay, so imagine a melody that starts to ascend. It's climbing, it's reaching for a resolution or a high note. And then just before it gets there, it hesitates. It drops back down a semitone, or it just pauses.
Oh, okay.
It creates this syncopated rhythm that feels like a stutter. It's not a smooth, sweeping waltz like we had with Daphne and Simon in Season 1.
No, not at all.
It's a melody that is constantly checking itself, constantly second-guessing.
That makes so much sense. It perfectly mirrors the friends to lovers trope. It captures the timidity, the awkwardness, the constant hesitation. It really is that dynamic of two steps forward, one step back.
And what's so fascinating is how the show actually deploys this theme.
Hmm.
In the early episodes, we rarely hear it fully formed.
Right. I was looking at the breakdown of episode 3 and 4 for this. The theme is so fragmented. There's this one moment at the Innovations Ball where Colin kind of clocks Penelope across the room. The
Yes.
theme starts to play, just a few notes, and then it's just cut short.
And that fragmentation is just brilliant narrative audio. It symbolizes their completely out of sync nature. Colin sees her, he feels that pull, so the music starts, but then reality crashes in, or she walks away, or Lord Debling appears.
And the music just cuts out.
It cuts out. It's auditory unfulfillment.
Yeah.
The audience is left waiting for the melody to resolve, just like we're all waiting for Colin to finally get his act together.
There's also the willow tree moment, which is a great example of this. Colin sees her, the theme swells up beautifully, and then they actually start talking, and it just goes silent.
Because they can't communicate. The music represents the ideal. It's the fantasy of what they could be. But the moment they open their mouths in that first half of the season, that fantasy just collapses into awkward silence. They literally aren't ready for their own theme yet.
And the instruments change too, right? I'm not crazy. I noticed the earlier episodes felt very, I don't know, plucky.
Plucky's a good word, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the early season, which we could call the rom-com phase,
Mm-hmm.
the instrumentation relies so heavily on harps, flutes, and these soaring violins.
Hmm.
It totally matches the Confidence Lessons plot. It's light, it's almost fairy tale-esque, it feels like a montage in a 2000s movie, it's bubbly.
But then things get real.
Yeah.
And the sound changes completely.
It really does. As we move into the second half of the season, specifically once the relationship becomes physical and the huge lady whistle-down threat looms, the instrumentation shifts to the cello and the piano.
The cello. Okay, why the cello? I feel like that's such a specific choice. It feels intentional.
It's incredibly intentional. And this is where we have to talk about timbre. When the show shifts to the cello for Colin and Penelope, they are tapping into a very specific psychoacoustic phenomenon.
Okay, timbre is one of those words I hear used a lot, but if I'm being totally honest, I usually just nod along. Break that down for us. What are we actually hearing?
Think of it as the texture or the color of the sound. A violin, which we heard constantly in season 1 for Daphne and Simon, sits in a very high frequency range. It's bright, it's piercing, it soars above the rest of the orchestra. It feels ethereal, almost like it's floating.
Like a fairy tale. Or a diamond of the first water, as they'd say.
Exactly. It's the sound of Daphne Bridgerton floating down a grand staircase. The cello. The
Ah.
cello sits in the tenor and bass range, and this is the key part. Physically, the body of a cello is roughly the size of a human torso.
Okay, so it literally has the same resonance chamber as a person. I never thought of that.
Precisely. And because of that size and the length of the strings, the cello mimics the human vocal range, specifically the male speaking voice and the lower female register, more closely than any other instrument in the orchestra. When you hear a cello, your brain subconsciously registers it as human.
Wow.
It vibrates in your chest, not just in your ears.
So when the pull-in theme switches to the cello, we aren't just hearing a different instrument, we're feeling something heavier, more real.
We're feeling groundedness. We are moving from the high-pitched fantasy of a crush to the vibrating, resonant reality of an adult relationship. It signals that this is no longer just a flirtation. It is a mature, grounded, and slightly complicated adult connection. It adds weight. It adds a touch of melancholy.
That is such a cool detail. It literally grounds the fantasy. Okay, so speaking of grounding, or maybe ungrounding, we have to talk about the pop covers, because part 1 gave us some absolute bangers, and I am using that term scientifically.
Let's look at the trajectory of part 1. It is defined by 2 things, really, the chase and the frustration. And the music choices map this perfectly.
It starts with the makeover, episode 1. Penelope enters the ball in that emerald green dress. The Featherington citrus yellow is finally gone. And what's playing? Absidi Fou by Gale.
A cover by Vitula, to be precise. And this is a moment of pure, unadulterated defiance.
It's so good, but isn't it a bit aggressive? I mean, the original song is literally telling someone and their mom and their dog to, well, F off.
It is aggressive, and that's precisely why it works so well. Think about the context. Penelope has been the punchline of the ton for 2 full seasons. She's been obedient. She has worn the awful yellow dresses.
Yeah.
Now she walks in, and the music is essentially punk rock disguised as a string quartet.
It's a sonic middle finger.
It is the ideal way to put it. Even though we don't hear the lyrics, the audience knows the lyrics. It's a breakup song, But in this context, it's a breakup with society's expectations. It's a breakup with her family's awful aesthetic. It is described in our sources as just badass.
Totally badass.
It signals that she no longer cares what the ton thinks. She is breaking the fourth wall of propriety with her song choice.
And then we get to the male perspective, or rather the male panic, because Colin starts losing his mind a little bit, very quickly.
We see the introduction of jealousy,
Yeah.
and the show is not subtle about it at all. We have the cover of Jealous by Nick Jonas.
Which plays while she's flirting at the lemonade table. I actually missed this on the first watch because it's mixed somewhat quietly in the background.
It is a very subtle placement, but it's narratively critical. It marks the precise moment Colin realizes he feels possessiveness. He sees her talking to other men, and the score isn't romantic. It's uneasy.
Right.
But that possessiveness turns into this internal storminess with the next big cover, Snow on the Beach, by Taylor Swift and Lana Del Rey.
Okay, this one caused some debate online. I saw a lot of people saying it was hard to hear or hard to recognize. But narratively, what's it doing?
Narratively, it fits perfectly. It plays when Colin cuts in and interrupts Penelope's dance with Lord Debling. The lyrics of that song, this idea of a weird but beautiful occurrence, it just captures the surreal nature of falling in love with your best friend.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It matches the internal storm inside Colin. He shouldn't be cutting in. It's rude, it's desperate, and the music reflects that angst. It's swirling. It's not a happy dance.
But if we're going to talk about desperation, we have to address the elephant in the room, or rather the rapper in the carriage.
The Pitbull moment.
Yes.
Give me everything, Mr. Worldwide. In the year 1815, on paper, this sounds like an absolute disaster. If you had told me before the season aired that the most romantic, heart-stopping moment of the entire series would be set to a 2011 club banger, I would have laughed you out of the room.
And yet?
And yet it works. It really, really works. But why? This is the definition of anachronism. It's so jarring.
It works because of the BPM, the beats per minute, and the sheer, unadulterated desperation of the scene. Let's look at the context. This is not a polite waltz where they're following prescribed steps. This is the carriage scene.
Right. The climax of part one, in every sense of the word. We have watched Colin and Penelope dance around each other, literally and figuratively, for years. The tension has been pressurized like a shaken soda bottle. When Colin finally chases down that carriage, we aren't in Regency romance mode anymore. We are in primal urgency mode.
So a polite Mozart concerto just wouldn't cut it.
A concerto has structure. It has manners. It has rules. Give me everything is pure, uncut adrenaline. The arrangement by Archer Marsh keeps that driving, relentless pulse of the original track.
Yeah.
It mimics a heartbeat that is going way, way too fast. It matches the frantic energy of Colin knocking on the carriage door, the breathless confession.
It's tension breaking. That's the phrase I saw used in the notes. And it feels so right. It's like the dam finally broke.
And it proves that the show can still bridge that gap between Regency propriety and modern energy. It validates the whole Bridgerton experiment. When the emotion is high enough, the anachronism doesn't matter. It actually enhances the truth of the scene. It gives them permission to lose control.
So that's part one. High energy, high frustration, big, big release. Then we get to part two. And the whole tone shifts. It feels, I don't know, softer, more vulnerable.
Vulnerability is the key word for part two.
Absolutely.
If part one was about the chase, part two is about the exposure. And we see this immediately with a mirror scene.
The cover here is Pov by Ariana Grande, a much different vibe than Pitbull.
A completely different vibe. And it's an incredibly specific lyrical choice.
Yeah.
The whole song is, I'd love to see me from your point of view. The scene is literally about Penelope, who spent her entire life being overlooked and mocked, standing in front of a mirror and being asked to see herself as Colin sees her.
It's beautiful, and the arrangement is described as so delicate and sensual. It contrasts so sharply with the Pitbull scene. That was urgent. This is intimate.
It's the difference between passion and intimacy. The carriage was about needing each other now. The mirror is about seeing each other fully. And that trajectory continues right to the wedding. Now, this is a moment I really want to dig into. The song is Yellow by Coldplay.
Yes, and this has so many layers. I love this choice.
Let's peel them back. First, there's the obvious romantic sentiment, right? Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. It's a song about pure devotion.
Yeah, classic.
But in the context of Bridgerton, and specifically for Penelope Featherington, yellow is a loaded word.
Featheringtons, the citrus colors, the dresses her mom made her wear.
Exactly. For 3 seasons, Penelope has been forced into these garish yellow dresses she absolutely hates. It represented her mother's control, her lack of agency, her role as the ugly duckling of the family. She literally changed her entire wardrobe in episode 1 to escape that color.
So for her to walk down the aisle to a song called Yellow
is a reclamation. It is a stunning piece of narrative looping. She is walking toward Colin in a dress that is much softer, much more her, and the music is transforming yellow from a symbol of ridicule into a symbol of Colin's love. He loves her, including her history. He loves the girl who wore yellow. He loves the wallflower.
That is, wow. I hadn't connected the reclamation aspect quite so deeply. It's like she's making peace with her past self right before she starts her future. That's powerful. And there's a meta detail too, right?
Yes, which is so fun for the fans. Luke Newton, the actor playing Colin, apparently covered this song in his past. So for the superfans who knew that, there was that extra layer of connection. It feels personal to the actor and the character at the same time.
I love that. And then we get to the wedding breakfast, and we get You Belong With Me, Taylor Swift again.
You cannot have a Friends to Lovers arc without this song. It's like it is the anthem of the trope. It had to be there.
She's cheer captain and I'm on the bleachers. It's so literal for them.
It is so literal. Penelope has been on the bleachers, the wallflower, while Colin was the popular Bridgerton, the cheer captain. And the visual editing in this scene was crucial. As the song plays, they cut the crowd away, and it's just the two of them dancing alone.
Which just emphasizes that lyric. It's about the two of them understanding each other in a way that nobody else in that room does.
It acknowledges their history. It acknowledges that she has been waiting, and he has finally woken up. It's a celebration of their shared past. It's just joyful. It's not urgent like Pitbull, and it's not heavy and melancholic like the cello theme. It's just pure, uncomplicated joy.
I also have to mention Confident by Demi Lovato. This one was so clever. It plays when Cressida Cowper walks in and claims to be Whistledown.
A fascinating usage of a song. It's a power walk song, right?
Yeah.
You hear it, and you think of someone owning the room. But in this context, it's underscoring a complete lie.
Right. It's ironic.
Totally ironic.
Yeah.
It highlights Cressida's desperate grab for agency. She is performing confidence rather than actually possessing it. It shows how the music can be used to highlight a character's delusion, not just their true feelings.
So we've talked a lot about covers, but CN3 did something the show has never, ever done before.
The original song.
All I Want.
This is a major structural shift for the franchise. A really big deal. Up until now, Bridgerton relied entirely on the recontextualization of existing pop culture. But here, they commissioned an original piece from the ground up.
Written by Roger Traher, performed by Tori Kelly, and then orchestrated by Chris Bowers for the final scene. Why do you think they broke the rule here? Why not just use another cover? What was so special about this moment?
I think it's because the relationship broke the mold. Think about the previous romances. Simon and Daphne were burning for each other. Anthony and Kate were defined by vexation and obsession.
Right, very dramatic, almost violent emotions.
They're high-octane, almost destructive forces.
Yeah.
And they fit the dramatic arcs of existing pop ballads perfectly.
Okay.
All I Want and the entire Poland arc is about partnership. It's about reciprocity. The lyrics are the key. If you're the music, I'll be the dancer.
Which is such a beautiful callback to Colin's line from earlier in the season, all I want is you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But look at that metaphor. Music and dancer. One cannot exist without the other. It implies a necessary counterpart. It speaks to the fact that Colin and Penelope are both writers. They're both observers. They have forged this unique partners, lovers, writers that requires its own unique soundtrack.
So cover wouldn't suffice.
A cover wouldn't suffice because their relationship isn't cover of anyone else's. It is something new, something they built together.
That's a lovely way to put it. They earned their own song.
They did. And placing it in the finale just underscores that they have built something that stands apart from the typical ton romance.
Now, we've been focusing so much on the loud moments, the Pitbulls, the Taylor Swifts, the original ballads, but there is a complete counter-narrative running through season 3, and it's much, much quieter.
Yes.
And frankly, while the rest of the ton is raving to Pitbull, there is one Bridgerton who is practically covering her ears.
Francesca Bridgerton.
Her story is so interesting because she barely speaks, and she clearly hates the noise of the ton. I found her soundscape so fascinating because it felt like a direct rebellion against the show itself. Bridgerton is loud, it's neon, it's pop. And here is Francesca sitting at a pianoforte obsessing over a single silence in a Mozart arrangement.
It's a brilliant counter-narrative. If the main Bridgerton sound is about pop fusion, The Francesca sound is about classical precision. She finds the fanfare, as she calls it, completely exhausting. But it's not just that she likes classical music, it's how she likes it.
She uses it as a shield, doesn't she? It feels like a defense mechanism.
She uses it as order. The world outside is chaotic. Her mother is plotting marriages, the queen is demanding diamonds, her brothers are making spectacles of themselves. But on the keys, a chord progression has rules. It resolves. It's safe.
Right.
She plays Mozart's Funeral March at the beginning of the season.
Which is just a hilarious choice for a debutante entering society.
It is. It's her way of saying, this debut is the death of my peace and quiet. It's dramatic irony. But it sets up her character profile perfectly. She prefers the technical safety of chord progressions over messy emotional outbursts.
And then she meets John Sterling, and their meet cute was, well, it wasn't cute, it was awkward, and it was almost completely silent.
The stunningly silent meet cute, as some of our sources described it. And I think this was a massive risk for the showrunners. Usually you would underscore a meeting like that with swelling violins to tell the audience, look, soulmates, pay attention.
Yeah, they'd hit you over the head with it.
Here, they cut the sound entirely.
It forced us to lean in. It was almost uncomfortable.
Exactly. And then notice how John woos her. He doesn't write her a sonnet. He doesn't fight a duel for her honor. He rearranges the music she was playing. He heard her frustration with the piece, that she couldn't make it work, and he fixed the structure.
He fixed the silence. He made the silence make sense.
He rearranged the music, not to make it louder, but to make it right. He understood that she didn't need more noise, she needed harmony.
Yeah.
This whole subplot proves that the show can handle different types of love. Not all love is a thunderbolt, to borrow Colin's phrase.
Right.
Some love is a quiet understanding. Some love is just sitting in comfortable silence together.
I think that's why Francesca's story resonated with so many people, even without the big pop covers backing all of her scenes. It felt distinct. It felt introverted in an incredibly extroverted show.
And it creates a necessary sonic break for the audience. If the whole season was Pitbull and Demi Lovato, we would be exhausted by the end. Francesca provides the dynamic range. She allows our ears to rest so that when Give Me Everything hits, it hits that much harder. It's all about contrast.
That brings us to the reception. Because while we're sitting here analyzing the genius of it, not everyone was 100% on board this season.
No, there was definitely a debate. We've been calling it the familiarity versus magic debate.
Some listeners and viewers felt Season 3 just lacked the shock and awe of Season 1.
Which is, it's inevitable. You can only be new once. We're no longer surprised by the anachronistic music. The novelty, as we said, has worn off. We know the trick now.
And there were some specific critiques about the editing. I saw a lot of chatter on Reddit about songs feeling choppy or too short.
Dynamite by BTS was a frequent target of this critique.
Oh, the key change. People were not happy about that.
Yes, the abrupt key change. Some viewers felt the song was cut too short, or that the transition was just jarring. It felt a bit like checking a box, okay, here's the BTS song, rather than letting the song actually breathe and have its moment. It broke the immersion for some people because the edit felt mechanical rather than musical.
And some people felt Jealous was too subtle. They said they completely missed it on the first watch.
Which raises the question of mixing. In Season 1, the songs were often front and center. You couldn't miss them. In Season 3, specifically in the first half, they were sometimes buried under dialogue or ambient party noise. If you didn't know the melody of Jealous beforehand, you might have just thought it was generic background strings.
But the counter-argument, and I think I personally side with this one, is that while the magic might be gone, the emotional utility has increased.
Exactly. While the magic of the surprise is gone, the music is doing so much more heavy lifting for the story. It's less of a gimmick and more of a core narrative device. And when it lands like in the carriage scene or at the wedding, it still provides that signature delight for the senses.
It's a trade-off then. You lose the novelty, but you gain depth. You gain a soundtrack that is tailored to the specific neuroses of the characters.
And you gain character specificity. The very fact that we can distinguish between a Poland song, which is cello waiting, Pitbull, and a Francesca song, which is Mozart, silence, precision, shows that the music team is doing their job at a much higher level now. They're building distinct sonic worlds for each sibling.
So what does this all mean for the future of the Bridgerton sound? Where do they go from here?
Well, I think it means the soundscape is adaptable. It means the show isn't stuck in one mode. It can do club bangers for one couple and quiet Mozart for another. It suggests that as we move to Benedict or Eloise or Francesca's future seasons, The music will likely shape-shift again to match their internal worlds.
I'm personally hoping for some rock anthems for Benedict, but that's just me. Maybe some Queen, a little bit of glam rock.
We shall see. But what is absolutely clear is that the music of Bridgerton has become a character in its own right.
Yeah.
It's not just background noise anymore. It's the very heartbeat of the show.
Well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up. We've gone from the harp to the cello, from Gailey to Mozart, and from the carriage to the altar.
It has been quite a journey.
That was our deep dive into the music of Bridgerton Season 3. By now, the sound of Bridgerton feels unmistakable. Join us next time as we continue exploring Bridgerton one detail at a time.